I'm Rutten, and today I'm demonstrating the Nature Brush Pack for Procreate. I designed these brushes to easily create natural elements like clouds, trees, grass, stone, and water. These brushes respond to pen expressions like pressure and barrel rotation, making them very dynamic and intuitive to use. Download these brushes now at rutten.com. Let's dive in. The Bushy Buildup brush is designed to efficiently create random clumps of foliage. By overlapping your strokes, you can naturally build up both the density and the lightness of the greenery. When using brushes that build up color like this, it's usually best to start with something dark. The pressure you apply to the stylus directly controls the rate of this buildup, as well as the size and opacity of the foliage clumps. Changing your brush size also changes the overall scale of the features. The brushes in this set can also be used as blenders and erasers. I can tap and hold on the smudge tool to make this a blender, and fade out the edges or mix the colors together. As you can see, it maintains the shape and feel of the brush. If I want to add negative space or subtract from the shape edges, I can set this brush to the erase mode. With the cloudy brush, you can create fluffy, realistic cloud shapes. Similar to the foliage brushes, overlapping strokes will increase the lightness to simulate complex forms with highlights and shadows. Pressure sensitivity dictates the buildup rate, size, and opacity, while barrel rotation allows you to rotate the dab shape for more organic, varied formations. You can edit the opacity slider to make the clouds fainter or stronger as well. I'll try this brush in the smudge mode so you can see how it blends. I can use large paint brushes to fill in the sky, and then blend to flatten it out. These brushes can serve more than one purpose, so experiment with them to go beyond the brush name. The dirty brush is perfect for adding gritty dirt and mud by generating random fractal shapes. It automatically varies the hue, saturation, lightness, and opacity to mimic natural soil. You can use pen pressure to control the scale of the fractal features and the intensity of the texture grain. If I blend, you can see I can smudge the colors together to make it look muddy. The dusty brush is useful for generating ethereal swirling effects like mist, smoke, or fine dust clouds. This brush relies on pressure to control the softness, the size of the features, and the underlying texture. If I taper my pressure, you can see I can make billowing smoke. The forest brush allows for the rapid creation of distant evergreen horizons. It utilizes a random vertical texture to simulate rows of trees. By adjusting your pressure, you can control the opacity of the forest line, making it easy to fade trees into a misty distance. I can lock the transparency and go over it with lighter colors to add more detail. The grass soft brush produces multiple blades of grass with gentle blurred edges for a soft field effect. Pressure controls the size of the blades. By steadily increasing your pressure as you move into the foreground, you can create a sense of perspective. Furthermore, barrel rotation lets you change the angle of the grass dabs. I'll make my color brighter and paint some highlights on top of the grass to give it more realism. For more defined foreground greenery, the grass thick brush offers multiple blades with crisp, hard edges. Just like the soft version, pressure sensitivity controls the size for perspective effects, and barrel rotation enables precise control over the orientation of the dabs. The pine needles brush is essential for detailed evergreens, creating tapered branches covered in sharp needles. The thickness of the branch and the overall size of the needle clusters are determined by your pen pressure, allowing for both thick main limbs and delicate outer twigs. If you need a brush to scratch in some distant tree trunks, this one works well for that at a low size. If you paint a lot of landscapes, you may also want to pick up my foliage brush pack because it has brushes specifically for branches, along with a larger variety of tree brushes. The rocky dab brush is ideal for texturing stone surfaces with varied tonal values. I'll make a selection of a mountain shape. By dabbing or painting, you can create complex rock faces. The brightness of the chosen color is linked to your pressure, allowing you to highlight or shadow rocks simply by pushing harder or softer. And again, I can switch this to a blender and mix the colors together or smudge to create a directional flow. To add fine granular detail to beaches or deserts, use the sandy brush. It sprays out a very detailed grain texture where the density of the sand particles and the overall spray size are determined by how much pressure you apply. The Stormy brush creates the dark, heavy patterns that are characteristic of a storm front. Overlapping strokes will build up lighter highlights within the dark clouds. Pressure controls the rate of this buildup, as well as the size and opacity of the turbulent cloud features. Blending really helps to make the clouds look realistic. Pulling the background in toward the paint can also sharpen the edges to make the shapes more intricate. The tree bark brush generates a rough wood texture, complete with vertical grain and shifting colors. This brush is also surprisingly effective for rocky surfaces. You can use pressure to manipulate the brightness of the wood, adding depth to the bark's ridges and valleys. The Waterfall brush produces streaky flowing effects that automatically follow the direction of your stroke. It builds up highlights with overlapping passes. Pressure sensitivity is used to manage the buildup rate, the density of the water streaks, and the width of the flow. Barrel rotation can also be used to orient the flow direction. I also like this brush for adding form to land features. With the right touch, it could even work for creating tufts of grass. I'm going to go out of sequence here a bit and show you the water texture brush. This brush generates a continuous rippling surface. Like the other buildup brushes, it uses overlapping strokes to build up light. Pressure dictates the rate of buildup, feature size, and density. I want the water to be fairly dark with a receding perspective. Now I'll add the water ripples. This brush simulates the way light reflects off of a moving surface. Like the previous brush, it builds up luminosity as you layer strokes. Pressure controls the buildup speed and the density and size of the features. If I match the perspective, you can see that this is an amazing brush for painting rivers, lakes, and oceans. I can use it on its own for water that is more wavy. You could even use this with green to make aquatic plants, or if I weave it between some brown, it could be useful for creating moss or grass on the ground. That's all for this demo. I'll remind you that although I provided 15 suggestions, these brushes are versatile enough to be the equivalent of double or triple that. If you'd like to get these brushes for your own toolkit, you can do that with a link in the video description. I hope you enjoyed this demo.